Hi, I'm Michael Jabot with TCDI, and this is the next episode of TCDI Talks. I'm joined by my colleague, Joe Anguilano, Managing Director, and today we're talking about enterprise legal management software and CVUnity. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Hey, Joe, your article that you just wrote paints a clear picture of the challenges facing eDiscovery teams today. In your view, why has centralized data become such a pressuring issue for everyone?
Yeah, it's a problem because, when information like matter details, collections, legal holds, billing, review metrics, this other information lives in separate tools, it becomes really difficult to get a comprehensive view of your legal operations in one place. Piecing that fragmented data together takes time, costs money, and it raises the risk of missing key deadlines or sometimes even evidence. So by consolidating all these data points into a single source of truth, it helps teams leverage, built-in analytics and other tools that you would otherwise have at your fingertips because, again, the data is typically in separate systems, right? So by putting it all together into one platform and consolidating it, they're more likely to make timely, data-driven decisions to, really be able to keep matters on track.
So let's talk about the impacts of these disconnected systems. So what are some of the risks the legal teams face when information's delayed or inconsistent or unavailable, or especially in these high, stakes or fast-moving matters?
Yeah, I mean, there could be a few different things. Budget overruns is top of mind, right? So when people aren't working off the same information or they don't have the information they need at the right time and they're trying to track it down, it's easy to exceed your spend targets without even knowing it, right? You can also run into rework and errors with your data and your processes. You've got last minute fire drills. You got teams that have to scramble to correct issues at the 11th hour. So, it creates confusions, inefficiencies, drives up costs, and slows down decision making. So, again, having that timely, comprehensive, and cohesive information right at their fingertips helps avoid a lot of those pitfalls.
So from a collaboration standpoint, how do these silos affect the way that in-house teams and outside counsel and even, vendors work together?
Right. So, it's not just, having multiple different systems, but it's having multiple different, vendors and providers and stakeholders also managing multiple different systems, right? So it makes it very hard to collaborate, and ultimately it often results in each of these different parties relying on different information that they think is actually accurate when sometimes it's not, right? So again, duplicated tasks, maybe conflicting instructions oftentimes can lead to bottlenecks while people are waiting for information to take action because no one's entirely sure which of those figures are accurate. So it can often muddy the water. And that's why I think centralizing those key metrics and reports in one place where everyone knows that that's, again, that single source of truth. It's easily accessible. They know where to go. That information is at their fingertips, and it's given to them at the right place at the right time. Is critical to staying aligned on budgets and deadlines, and really identifying issues and beginning to take action on them before it's too late and before things escalate and get out of control. So you can have more productive collaboration, faster decisions, and ideally smoother eDiscovery workflows overall.
So ELM, and this is new to me. So we talk about enterprise legal management software and how it can help eDiscovery teams move from being reactive to proactive in their litigation strategy. Tell me more about ELM.
Yeah, so ELM software is kind of like the legal department's mission control center in many respects. So at its core, it consolidates functionality, things like matter management, maybe spend and e-billing. It has built-in advanced analytics, but then ELMs are also often enriched through integrations with third-party tools and data. Think of like eDiscovery platforms, collaboration platforms, pretty much anything that you can connect to. The idea of being an ELM should then also be able to pull in that information and report on it, run analytics on it in order to, again, provide that single source of truth, centralized mission control center for a legal operations team to kind of run their department. In the eDiscovery context, for example, such a platform would kind of unify things like the matter management, legal hold, collections, processing, hosting, maybe doc review metrics, spend data for those vendors, into kind of that one consolidated dashboard where oftentimes it'd be much more difficult to piece all that information together via spreadsheets or otherwise to, run analysis that'll provide, interesting and meaningful insights.
So that leads us to TCDI's CVUnity. So you've been deeply involved in the development and implementation of CVUnity. Tell me, Joe, what is CVUnity and what are some of the key challenges you were trying to solve for clients when you're building out the platform?
Yeah, so CVUnity was developed to solve a lot of the challenges that I described already when it comes to, data from legal operations being in many different disparate sources, disparate systems, and not really having one good way to pull that information together and report on it, right? So CVUnity was originally developed with that thought in mind, essentially bringing, the business intelligence tools and best practices typically used outside of legal in the business world into legal, right? And apply those philosophies and, apply Lean Six Sigma, whatever it may be, whatever's meaningful to the client, surface those KPIs, make them easily available, updated regularly, and so then they can go in and make those important decisions. Because again, it's really having that scattered data all throughout, right? So CVUnity is designed to kind of bring that all under one roof. But then the CVUnity suite as a whole, has a lot more functionality than just that. The CVUnity suite, besides just the control center that I described with the business intelligence tools and analysis, it has a collections management, it has legal hold, discovery and data processing, AI functionality. So it's really a suite of tools highlighted by some of these BI capabilities and the analytics layer that we've built in. If there's fielded data, CVUnity can find a way to really make it interesting to look at, explore, slice and dice, and ultimately, give you the information to make a data-driven decision.
So let's talk about the feedback you've received from our clients using CVUnity thus far. Any results or insights that surprised you?
Just the overwhelming positive feedback, just by the look and the aesthetics of being able to visualize data and kind of bring it to life, right? People really seem to enjoy that and just looking at their data that they've maybe been looking at, for many years in a completely different way, right? Through the analytics layer and the visualization tools built into CVUnity. And then just excitement. Particularly around, hey, this is going to save us so much time. We typically, are taking data from a spreadsheet manually each month or each quarter, putting this into a PowerPoint and presenting it where, a tool like CVUnity could, regularly get that updated and refreshed and, almost PowerPoint ready with little or no work. And so that's very exciting, just being able to save our clients time and effort so they can focus on, more pressing tasks at hand. And then just giving them the ability to explore and view their data in a completely different way. A good example might be, the jurisdiction map, right? So we are able to take things like, where your cases are pending, state, federal jurisdiction, different case statuses, and typically there'd be a very manual process to map out that type of data, right? To see concentrations in different jurisdictions or areas. We were able to create that within CVUnity, and people just seem to love that. They're very excited for it whenever we show that, mapping capability, right? And that's, again, you have the data, maybe it's in a spreadsheet and you have your different jurisdictions, but being able to visualize it in that new way, and being able to do that very easily and, slice and dice it and have dynamic updates, it gets people really, really excited.
So, Joe, what advice would you give to legal departments that are overwhelmed from trying to pull together data points from several different locations?
Yeah, you're gonna probably need to consider a tool, right? There are certain tools designed to do this, and so if you really want to make that time investment in order to do that, I'd highly suggest starting with a tool that you can export multiple spreadsheets from, bring them in together, and just start doing that analysis. Obviously, TCDI offers a tool and services along those lines, but and not trying to do everything all at once, right? So start small. get initial win out the gate, right? So I'm able to combine these two different data sources to provide this meaningful insight and create this interesting report, right? So you got to find out what's your biggest pain points. Is that also maybe the low hanging fruit that you can attack first, and then just kind of go with a prioritized list because it's a bit of an iterative process, right? You got to start somewhere, and if you're going to start somewhere, start small, get a quick win, and then just start to build off of it.
So, Joe, if you had to summarize the core benefit of ELM platforms like CVUnity in one sentence, what would it be?
It is the mission control center for your legal team that will make everyone's jobs easier, so that you can focus on your legal work and your litigation matters and not on consolidating data and spreadsheets and creating PowerPoints. That work should be done for you so that you can focus on other areas.
Well, thanks for joining us. And if you'd like to learn more about enterprise legal management software and CVUnity, you can check out Joe's article. We have it linked next to this video, and we'd love to get your feedback and your thoughts. Look for us on LinkedIn and join into the discussion. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.